You know? And so the thing is, what I'm saying is, up until, now, did they know it before that? Absolutely yes. But was it interesting that now that we've got all the activity, we've got all the world tension, we've got Israel supposedly placing their assets for war in Iran, and as you said, Syria too, we've got all these things going on, and yet now we've got the biggest, well, in my opinion, we've got scaled up magnitudes of things looking like they're going to pop, and that stuff just is just dismissed. It astonishes me.
Steve, you remember the Iron Mountain document?
Yes.
Okay. Much, in fact, all of what they were talking about as far as driving the sheep into the gate you want them to go in by controlling massive global threats or crises, all of those things are happening now. I mean, they're looking at economic, at warfare, at weather or climate. Probably we're being misled about the global warming stuff because that's happening on all the planets. But they're using that as a way to herd the sheep in one direction. They're using the disease and pandemics as another way, and that they can certainly control by injecting it. All those curves or all those factors are now coming to the point where people will cry out, even if it's Satan himself, to find a leader for this planet that will bring everything back into control. And this is spooky.
Right. By the way, a report coming in from the Caribbean right now. We call this gentleman Caribbean Joe, okay? It says, "Hi, Steve. What Stan is saying is right. A lot of people are sick on the island. Digestive problems, pain in the back of the neck, teeth aches, joint pains, depression. It becomes less after 7 p.m. when the sun sets."
There you go.
Yep, and the sun shines like autumn in the USA. It is not a summer sunshine. I don't have any explanation to this. I do, and I mean, I'm sure you do too. The thing that I think people need to understand, and this is, ladies and gentlemen, even I think a year ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, those of you that get the web bots, they were talking about the sun sickness. So, even some of the NASA releases have had this in the statement, "Is the sun sick?" You probably saw that headline.
Well, and believe me, the sun is not behaving properly, whether it's sick or not, but it's anomalous behavior. And we're at a point where traditional science, or quote-unquote science, which says if things have happened this way in a cycle, in a period for the last 2,000 years, then they will do that tomorrow and the next day thereafter. It's called post hoc ergo propter hoc logic in Latin, which means if it's happened this way before, it will continue to happen that way. And yawn, it's an axiom.
Right. This is important for you to hear because this is being written to both of us. Steve and Stan, it's interesting that NASA has increased the frequency of its shuttle launches and the urgency, that's all capitalized in bold, in getting the repairs on the Hubble telescope. I can tell you that during the launch and mission of Hubble, there was quite a focus on the Joint Operations Center at our facility. Now, this person is obviously very well placed, okay?
Yeah.
And so the thing is the question then that everyone's asking, and I'll get the emails, I'm going to ask you, if there is a massive amount of launches and they want the Hubble telescope done and other, let's say, assets put into orbit or even beyond the orbit of our Earth, the thing is that there seems to be a lot of concern. There seems to be a pace picking up. That would be it's not evidence, but it is interesting that it's ancillary activity that would give credence to what we're postulating, does it not?
Oh, yeah, and then you can also pick things like on the Sci-Fi Channel and various things about meteor strikes and how the world defeats them and all this kind of stuff, and earthquake. All this kind of stuff is kind of coming to the forefront again. It's cycling in, and it's heavy. I just got an email in from one of your listeners here saying that there's a bigger HARP spike now than at the time of the New Zealand quake a week ago, which is saying, if that's the case, that we're going to see a big quake somewhere.
Right.
If it's triggered by these theta waves or whatever HARP is putting out and equivalent in the other countries. Now, I don't know. These things, these scalar wave weapons, as far as I know, you don't just push a button and say, strike now, and 10 seconds later it hits on the other side of the planet. It takes a finite amount of time to make a spike directly occur, or like a lightning strike to come out of the ionosphere and hit a target. But you have to charge up the ionosphere with the energy first, and then weaken the atmosphere over a target for it to happen, for the scalar wave or for a lightning strike, which you can cause to happen by having control of the HARP technology. And this is like the Antichrist will do this time. He'll bring fire down from the sky on the side of men to impress them. He'll probably strike targets with lightning, and he'll use a HARP-type, super ionospheric heater-type weapon, I'm sure, to do it.
Well,
we may be seeing this. It may be something that's been building up for a while, and they're going to release a lot of energy all of a sudden, but it's taken them weeks to generate it to an area where they can use it.
Several years ago, I was corrected on air by, the gentleman that were on a space-based weapons platform telling me the forces that you're discussing are right, but they're not HARP. They said, we have stuff, their direct quote, we have stuff that makes atom bombs look like child's play. And I said, can you instantaneously, and they said, and beyond the speed of light. So I'm just telling you what I've been told,
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you this, I've been the recipient, Stan, as you know the story, and I won't bore anybody with it, but I've been the recipient of a space-based weapons platform pulse at my old store when I started talking about Russian tunnels under the Aleutian. Man, even they brought in scientists, they brought in physicists, they being Montana Power at the time. They had spikes. They said, look, you're so far off the charts for any known power surge on this planet, even an electrical. Even a lightning strike has a noticeable power spike, on their monitors. Yeah. And guess what? In an area of about 2 square miles, all industrial park, I was the only guy that got hit, okay?
Literally. Well, I got to say, that's a pretty narrow microwave.
You got it.
Yes.
So anyway, I know that. Now listen to this. Here's another one this just confirms what you and Holly saw, okay? Because I think, again, I don't know, and I've asked the Lord this in prayer, Lord, how many people have to see it to believe it before they get it, okay? Steve and Stan, so glad I was able to be home to listen to you both tonight. I've been telling people the moon, the night sky, and cloud formations are different. I looked for the moon one night where it should have been, and it was somewhere else. I also saw bright white round ball-shaped objects falling from the sky 2 different nights. One can be explained as a shooting star, but the other objects I saw were not like anything I'd ever seen before. Also, a lot of us are having dreams about the West Coast, people leaving in droves and coming to Arizona. Some people are actually dreaming of a big tsunami hitting the West Coast. You both are hitting so many of our feelings right on the head that I'm getting goosebumps. God bless you both and your families. Barb.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Well, we're getting emails like that, too, even before the show. People having these dreams and visions about stuff, and West Coast, and also in Australia and New Zealand. Now, this thing with China, well, I had Holly put up a thing on the website today about a prophecy we got that was, first we could find it was on the internet the 26th of June, and it was from a guy that was, or is, a Blackfoot Indian, and who's gone and got his spirit guide and all that kind of stuff, years ago as an Indian, but he had a prophecy dream, vision, which showed him that at the time of the reenactment of the lunar landing, the first lunar landing, within 7 days of that, plus or minus, that Walter Cronkite would die. And this thing was on the internet on several blog sites before, weeks before Cronkite died. And so when you see that happen, know that within 333 days of Cronkite's death, there will be a failure of the Three Gorges Dam, the Great Dam in China. Now that is then linked to a Maori prophecy, which the Maori kahuna sent to us down in North Island, New Zealand, where Lake Taupo is, that it will erupt and cause great damage. Something connected with a scandal and logs stored, thousands of them that are disgorged when or released when there's a dam failure there in China. And it would kill thousands of people, and there would be a scandal associated with it because of people stealing the logs, the timber that was stored there for some reason for their own purposes there. It's like, to steal money from the project, I guess. But all these things do indicate that we're within less than a year of something happening in China, a big something, and then also in Taupo in New Zealand, and I suppose other places. We're just seeing all kinds of warnings about this.
Well, I think, too, it's important for people to understand that, obviously, if